Good to see everyone here tonight. Every one of you. There was a man celebrating his 100th birthday. And a reporter asked him, I bet that you have seen a lot of changes in your life. What do you think of them? He said, yes, I have seen a lot of changes. And I want you to know I'm again every one of them. And that's how it is for a lot of people. You look at this cartoon. Do you see what the popular row is? Is it lifestyle change? It's not lifestyle change, is it? And how lifestyle change can be very difficult because we get stuck with our routine and our habits, and it makes it very difficult. So one of the things I want to do with you tonight is like this proverb says, if I can get it to work. The wisdom of the prudent is to give thought to their ways, but the folly of fools is deception. So I want to help you to give thought to your ways tonight. And whenever you think about diabetes, there's two sides of the coin. One side is experience. The other side is education. Now, I've had diabetes for more than 60 years now. And I don't usually meet anyone that's had it as long as me. I've become kind of a dinosaur. So I've had a lot of experience. And during that time, I've also learned a few things in those 6 years. So I want to share some of the things that I've learned, some of the insights I've learned with you tonight. And I think that this billboard really shows us the importance of lifestyle. Because if we just go and get junk food and eat all that we want, what's going to end up happening? Well, if diabetes doesn't happen, something else will. It's not healthy for us. Now, one of the things I want to show tonight is give you some information from the standpoint of God's wisdom, which you won't hear at a hospital diabetes class. But one of the things that we do when we look at the body, it's intricately designed by God. And He has also given His wisdom, which is the skill for living. And when we take that skill for living, we complement it with what He's designed in the body, we can get the best use out of the body that we can by doing that. We don't have to go to some drastic measures like trying to go to an island out in the South Pacific. You might like that, being a castaway. And that guy's lost, what was it, 30 pounds? He's by himself, there's no food. Well, of course he's going to lose weight. And his blood sugar's going to come down. And you don't have to do that. And you don't have to look this way either. Let's look at the secrets of not getting sick and staying healthy with diabetes without breaking your bank account. And so these three areas of lifestyle change I want to go over: doing essentials, getting motivated, and understanding the basics. And so we're going to start with doing the essentials. Here's an example. Practice the most important activities for health and safety. The most important. Now, when you overlook the vital, you end up with a devastating result like drama in the sky that this guy had hang gliding. He was taking a trip to Switzerland. He thought it would be really neat to get a picturesque scenery view from the sky. And so he's going to go hang gliding. He's going to jump off a 4,000-foot ledge and then just kind of glide and look at the beauty that's there. Well, he had never done it before, so he needed a pilot. So it's kind of interesting what happens when he got the pilot. You can see that there's something missing. That's the safety harness hooked to the glider. Trouble is, his wasn't hooked. I would call that kind of an essential item, wouldn't you? That's pretty important to have that hooked. Now, one of the things as you continue to watch this is that if he dropped at that height, that could be devastating, couldn't it? And you can also see this kind of cliff, a big ledge coming up here. And it's like he gets even higher. Somehow that pilot was able to pilot the glider close to the ground and he was able to drop off and just break an arm or break a wrist. That's how he handled it. Now, there's a little saying that says that things which matter most must never be put at the mercy of things which matter least. So many people's lives are cluttered with trivial things that contribute nothing to health or well-being. And so I've included 17 wise ways to outsmart diabetes from the resource of God's wisdom. These 17 ways are common sense approaches for all the things needed to manage this disease that is underrated, insidious, that is seemingly harmless, but deadly. These are not trivial. They are the essentials for well-being. And it doesn't have to look that way. It doesn't have to be a big blur. We can make a clear picture of what needs to be done. And here's some examples. I'm just going to briefly go over them. We'll come back to these in another session in more detail. But one of the things that's very important is to get the proper kind of sleep and amount of sleep. There's an impairment of hormones that relate to appetite. Less leptin, the feel full hormone, is released, and more of ghrelin, the still hungry hormone. And that makes losing weight very difficult. This comes from sleep deprivation. You get an imbalance of those hormones. Another thing that we see that's very important is what? Exercise. Yeah, exercise. And it's important to do the exercise at the proper time, too. The best time of day to do it is after a meal. And it's also important to not just sit there and become a couch potato. But we need to stand up, and stand up slowly. This helps with not only blood sugar control, but blood pressure. And it's been documented with research that about 32 times a day is what is needed. Another thing that's important is many people are dieting, they're trying to lose weight. What they do is they don't only lose fat, but they lose muscle. You don't want to lose muscle. So you can use small weights to help with that. Don't overdo it. Don't become a bodybuilder. You can sometimes get into trouble if you try to become a bodybuilder. But you can do this and maybe even a little bit heavier weights. But God's design of the body, think of your muscles like a gas tank in a car. But in the body, it's a glucose tank. And so when there's muscle contractions, insulin sensitivity increases like miles per gallon in a car. In other words, you make your insulin more powerful. And you need less of it. Muscle contractions make your insulin more effective, needing less to get the job done. And like you can see the effect, if you have the right kind of gas, right kind of car, more mileage. I think we all want that. But we're here talking about our body, not cars. But the idea is muscle contractions help with that. We should mimic God's design of the body. Did you know that we have islands in our body? Yeah, they don't look like that. But there is the Isles of Langerhans. That's what it's called. Pathologists discovered these in about 1869. And they're named after him. And so you have about 1 million of them in your pancreas. They're priceless islands. They're so priceless because you have about 2,000 beta cells and alpha cells producing the hormone glucagon. The beta cells produce insulin. And insulin is produced in a multi-step process in these beta cells. The word insulin is from a Latin root word which means island. That makes sense now, doesn't it? When you think of it. Hormones check the amount of glucose you have to determine how much insulin is needed in your body also. And so it's important to know what your blood sugar is. What your blood sugar is. It's important to know it. Know where it is. And because That's what the body does. God has designed our body in an intricate way, knows exactly how much glucose you've got. Yeah. It knows exactly how many carbs you've eaten. Now look at this. Is there anything good about that dish? Is that going to really affect your blood sugar levels? No. And the reason is you don't see a big bunch of carbohydrates on there. Now there's another thing called volumetrics. You eat more and you still lose weight. And so you can see the difference. Both of these are 100-calorie salads. Which one do you think is going to fill you up more? Well, I suppose the one on the right will. Oh, that is right, isn't it? Yeah. Another important element to taking care of yourself, managing diabetes, being healthy, is you don't live on an island. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. The generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. And that word prosper doesn't mean that you become wealthier. It means, when you really look at the word, the biblical word, it means healthy. Now, I don't know what you see in this. There's another strategy, another way that will be helpful to you, especially for weight control. Does that guy have any discipline? It looks to me like that's his last meal. He better get it down fast. I use that to talk about, hey, eat slowly. It can make a difference. What else? Well, water. We need to stay hydrated. And water-rich foods are an important element in that. There's also little tools that we can use. Like plates that, now look, that is well, we look at this, it's the same amount of food. But one, it looked like you were getting more, didn't it? Now it looks like you got a bunch of space there and you could really fill that plate and there's just not much food there. But on this plate, the middle-sized plate, looks like you got a full plate of food, and you do. It's a smaller plate. So that can make a difference too. Another thing has to do with your attitude. Attitude can make a difference in health. An attitude of gratitude can really make a big difference. And so we need to be thankful. There's a little saying that I've read before, and I want to show it to you right here. When it gets dark enough, you can see the stars. You can. And I'm just thinking about that there are stars there every night, whether you see them or not. If there's clouds that covers the sky, you can't see the stars. They're still there, aren't they? And it's the idea that there are still good things in your life. We've got to look on the brighter side of life each day. When we really look, it can make a difference. We'll be looking on the brighter side of life instead of the gloomy side of life. Now, which one do you think will lift your spirits more? I want to get on the brighter side. And so that's the idea. That's the first thing. Doing the essentials. I just gave you some essentials in a